Good evening, everybody. How is everyone doing tonight? We have a special guest with us. We have Drew, who's laughing his head off for some reason.
Because you came in and I had my mouth. I was going like,
Oh, nice. That's good. Fantastic. That would perfect TikTok right there. You'll be on TikTok later. Just like Steve Harvey says on Family Guy, your ass is on YouTube. Your ass is on TikTok.
bet. I'll take it.
Definitely a clip on that one. So just wanted to say this is our episode number 3 of the podcast. So just a little bit of input and feedback for everybody, just in case everyone's curious. We've hit 25 downloads through Spotify. So that's a milestone. I mean, 25 is huge for anybody, but it's really cool to hit 25. We're slowly doing a little bit better, doing slow and steady on YouTube. So we're streaming on YouTube currently right now. We're also on Twitch. We're also on multiple other platforms as well, if anybody is curious. So we're going to be talking about streamer mental health for the first little bit here, and then we're just kind of talk about whatever comes to mind and whatever we kind of want to. If anybody has any questions in chat, feel free to ask away, and we will answer them and get to them as much as we can. I know last week we got to pretty much every question that came up. So if you guys have any questions in chat that pertains to streaming or streaming mental health, or if you have questions just for us as streamers, you definitely can ask us that as well. So I want to talk about first off is streamer mental health and how streamers improve their mental health. And last week we discussed what you can do and try to help that. But one thing, there's a few tips, I guess you want to call it, is the number one tip that I have is that you never be afraid to take a break. Never be afraid to take a day off. You have to decompress. You have to take a day off. And if you have family, like a lot of us do, don't leave them out. They're part of the journey as well. Even though they're not streaming, they're part of that journey with you. So just make sure that you take care of yourself, because if not, then that's not going to be very good, and you're not going to be performing very well on stream if you're not taking care of yourself. A lot of people don't talk about this, but I say eat properly. You have to make sure that you're eating properly. And I know Drew's over there is like, yes, definitely. I know it's hard as a streamer to eat properly, especially when you're streaming and when you're playing a lot. But don't forget to eat properly and stay hydrated. Plenty of water. That also helps. Also, plan your breaks. I don't see a lot of people talk about this too, but planning your breaks out. And while you're streaming, especially taking 10, 15-minute breaks, go stretch, do what you need to do. That's a good way for you as a streamer to definitely decompress for a few minutes, improve your mental health enough. And you can keep your chat involved by playing clips of that current stream or past streams. That way they're still reviewing your content and they're not just left in the dark. So that's a few tips that I have there. Drew, I want to introduce, let you introduce you to the chat or chat to the podcast. Who are you? Where do you stream at? How long have you been a streamer, and what do you play?
So, my name's Drew. I go by Oleanth online sometimes. Mostly everybody calls me Drew. I stream mostly on Malevolent Media's Twitch. I have been streaming off and on, I'd say, since 2018 probably. I started a lot later than some of my friends have. I tried YouTube streaming for a while. I've been kind of all over the place. I even tried Mixer when it came out.
Oh, I remember Mixer.
And I'm the horror guy. I played Resident Evil, I played Devour, Outlast, Left 4 Dead, some things that are happening in the future, such as Dying Light 2 and Back 4 Blood. And yeah, that's who I am.
So I have a question for you, Drew. This is a would you rather question, and I think this is a put you on the spot question, but I think this is good for. I love what would you rather. I will tell you that. Would you rather know the history of every object you touched or be able to talk to animals?
I think it'd probably be that's hard.
That's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't give you any background on this. You didn't know I was telling you this one.
I'd say talk to animals because let's be honest, things such as money and change have been in a lot of weird places.
Very true.
And I don't want to know where my $1 bill came from, or Lord have it, my $2 bill.
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
I
don't
think talking to
know.
animals would be cool.
I think it would be cool too. I'm a history guy, so I love history. So having to know the history or knowing the history of every object I touch would be kind of cool. I think just because it gives you that insight of where that object came from. Where I mean, it could be obviously there's going to be consequences to everything that obviously, but I could see like a good side of that just because I'm always interested in where things are coming from. So that is my pick is the objects. So that's definitely an interesting conversation. Interesting. Would you rather, isn't it? Oh, did we lose
All
him?
right, my internet died first.
Or
Hear me?
I can hear you.
No, one moment.
As we wait for Drew to come back up, hopefully he comes back up. What do you think, chat? What do you think? What and what that would you rather? Anybody listening? What would you pick? Would you rather know the history of every object or you touched, or be able to talk to animals? Yeah, Swish says animals. Oh, I think we got Drew back. Maybe. Always technical difficulty sometimes when we're trying to get together. Maybe we have them. Maybe we don't.
Introducing Pepto Herbal Blends, a new drug-free offering from Pepto Bismol, available in 100% natural ginger flavors
History. History is that's a good choice.
100% natural peppermint and caraway for occasional indigestion and
Sure.
bloating. Try Pepto Herbal Blends.
Let me see here real quick where he's at. Hey, we're having technical difficulties here. 1 second, guys. Let's get the Discord up here. Okay, so he has technical having technical difficulties. Any chance you can get on the podcast? Absolutely. DM me, and we will. I will definitely set up a time for you to come into the podcast. Okay. So while we wait for Drew to set up, get his internet restarted, we're gonna, again, streamer mental health is very important, obviously. So you guys, as streamers, those who do stream, you have to be able to, deal with those issues and things that come up with streaming. Now, streamer mental health may mean something different to everybody. For me, it means mainly is that you take care of yourself. You take care of yourself, and you will your body will take care of you back, if that makes sense. So, as a streamer, you have to um, definitely there's a very I would say fine line, but there's definitely a balance from either as a streamer and taking a break and stuff like that. So you guys really have to make sure that you take care of yourself and your body will take care of you back. So that being said, it's very do you remember me? I do not remember you. Chat. So decompression is serious and should never be treated lightly. Or depression. I mean, depression is very serious and never be treated lightly. I am not a certified. I'm not trained as a counselor or anything like that. But we all experience the periods of sadness or when we feel alone, and um, you have to be able to talk about that. Do you need a Kim to be on the podcast? No, not needed. Uh-oh. Looks like we got him back.
I think I'm back. Everything just died.
That's
Everything.
that's fantastic.
think a power blip may have happened.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
possible. No, you're fine. No big deal. We, as streamers, we deal with it and we get through it.
Telling me.
There is always something.
Yeah, definitely.
So chat, no, with answer your question, you do not have to have a cam to be on the podcast. You can if you want. It is not required. So we're just Drew, we're just kind of following up and just finishing our conversation with streamer mental health. I want to hear your insight because like I told everybody, streamer mental health means something different to everybody. You know, as far as what you do to keep your streamer mental health in check, what does that mean for you? And again, what do you do to help balance everything?
Well, I'll say in the beginning, I was pretty poop at it. As with, I think, everybody who starts off, you don't know all the answers in the beginning. But for me, how I keep myself sane in some ways, because for me personally, I have ADHD, OCD, depression, anxiety, which, you know, that's a crock pot full of fun.
Definitely.
For me, it was finally deciding that one of them was I don't have to play what I think people want to watch. Um, I started, I stopped making myself stream because I had kind of sort of like a guilt behind it. In 2019, when MM started, I was streaming a lot on it. And then after a while, it just started. I mean, people could see it. It started to become more of like a weight. And then the streams started getting pushed out week after week of, oh, cool, he's playing that. And then it felt forced and forced. And it didn't come natural. And that's kind of with a lot of things in life. You want to do things in moderation per se. For me, it was moderation. I knew that it's not about the quantity, but it's about the quality of it. And forcing yourself, whether you have to put on a mask or not, some people put on a mask for their streams, some people are their own selves. You just tone it down a little bit for if you're starting to feel the weight of like your whole day is like, oh gosh, I gotta get ready for stream tonight. I gotta make sure I do this. I gotta make sure I do that. Then you're gonna start, and it's just a snowball effect. At least it was for me. Of
Right.
course, everyone's different.
Definitely. So, you know, a lot of people say that schedules is key. You have to have a schedule, you have to have it posted. For me, I get anxiety sometimes when I have a schedule because it feels like if I'm going to be late, then I'm letting everybody down or something comes up and I have to postpone it. For me, I just hate that feeling that I have to stop everything that I'm doing to be live at this specific time. I want to be able to do it when I'm able to. And I know that's hard because as a streamer, we're like a TV show and everyone should know when we're live. But on the flip side of that is that we all have other lives and other priorities that we have to do in our lives. So, do you think that having a schedule is important or is it not as important as it used to be?
In terms of analytics, I think having a schedule is a smart idea because it's I come at it from a little bit different of a perspective of when people have ADHD, they find comfort shows, things that they can watch that they've watched 1,000 times over and over again. Well, from a point of view from that, if you have a schedule, people like that, they're always going to check in on that thing and eventually becomes a comfort show. In terms of keeping yourself mentally healthy and what's best, I think one, it depends on the person. I
Right.
know some people who can do a schedule every week and there ain't a thing about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then it come to myself, like when I did the Resident Evil stream, I had a schedule for that whole week. And then the next week, I was like, I can't do a schedule. It'd be too much.
Right.
And I'd rather have those streams where I can just kind of pop it in and just do it and have fun with it. But it's it's difficult because one, everyone's different, but two, a schedule can be good or it can be a killer.
Right. I think being consistent, you can also be consistent without a schedule too, because even if you don't have a schedule and you know around this time every single day I can be live, people are going to catch on to that. And that's why I really like doing these podcasts, is because everyone knows Wednesday night, 7 p.m. on Eastern time, that these podcasts are going to be live. That is one day I know that I can do that. But the rest of the week is just, I have to filter that in with my work schedule because it's constantly changing. I have kids, so trying to fit everything else into that and also trying to grow and continue to stream on Twitch, it's very difficult. A few months ago I had health problems where I had to take a couple months off, and I feel like I lost my community. So that's why I feel like now it's hard to not have a schedule, because I feel like when I am not live, I'm letting down the community that I've started to build. And I know a lot of people have thought that too, or thinking that as a streamer. If I don't go live every single day and grind for 10 to 12 hours, I'm gonna let everyone down. And I think that's how people get burnt out. I think that's how people end up quitting because they can't keep up. So it's like I said earlier, it is a balance and it's hard to do. But either on the one side, you're streaming every single day and you're going to burn yourself out in a few months, or on the other side of it, you're going to have a very slow growth because you're not live every single day. So you have to kind of put that in the middle and kind of meet in the middle there. And there's no perfect answer, like you said. It's different for everybody.
I I was gonna say you threw the dart right on the bullseye with me because in 2020, granted, yes, COVID hit, but 2020 I barely streamed. And being the person that streamed on MM, I had that feeling of, well, shoot, everybody's just going to kind of disappear.
Right.
And I will say a little bit on the harsher side is that honestly, the people who disappeared you were just some. I won't say every one of them,
Mhm.
but some of them were probably just a fling that they watched you.
Oh, sure, definitely. I
So
can agree with you on that.
one thing that I think a lot of streamers should do is don't beat yourself up if you do have to take a break and you notice that when you come back maybe your streams aren't as big. You'll still see the people who are truly part of the community still pop up in there,
Right.
and you'll still see that happen. But yeah, in 2020, didn't do a thing. I had the same anxiety the whole year, and at the end of it, I was just like, man, we wasted a whole year. But it's this is corny as heck, but it's just like the Rocky quote. It's not how hard you get hit; it's what you do after you got hit. Or I forgot his actual quote, but it's what you do after the hard blow.
Right.
So if you have to take a break, whether it be because personal reasons or you're just tired of streaming or whatever it be, when you come back, you need to fight for it, push for it
Well,
if you
right.
really want to do it.
Exactly. And where I want to talk about games here for a little bit too is that, a lot of I see a lot of on social media and TikTok and things like that. It's about, well, you don't want to play an oversaturated game because you're not going to get the views. But then if you play in a game that nobody knows, then you're not going to get any views. What is your take on that? My personal opinion is that it's play a game no matter what. If you love the game and if you enjoy the game, play it, regardless if it's oversaturated. But you have to know going into it that you're going to have slow growth because of it being oversaturated. Like for me, I play Fortnite. That's the game that I play. When I stream, everyone expects me to play Fortnite. When I play another game, then my community isn't there. Does that make sense? So it's like I like playing other games. I like to be considered a variety streamer, but when I play other games, my no one comes unless I play Fortnite. So if you're a new streamer and you're wanting to start streaming, do you what is your advice to that new streamer? Do you play oversaturated games? Do you choose specific games that aren't as saturated? Or, like I said, do you play games that you love no matter how big they are?
That that's a difficult one, and the reason being why is yes, I feel personally that you should play the games that you want to play because that's when your true self comes out on stream. But it's also how do you look at streaming? Are you going to look at it as a job? Are you looking at it as a hobby? Are you looking at it as something that you eventually want to be a job? So on and so forth. If you're wanting to, make this thing so that you grow quickly, then yeah, you kind of have to play those oversaturated games. And I think, well, part of you doesn't have to do that, but I don't know. Just I think new streamers should play the games they love, but when they're doing that, if you're going to play a game that's not as popular or not as something, why not try collaborating?
Hmm.
Get mixed in, network. When you play the bigger games like Warzone, Fortnite, at one point Rainbow Six Siege,
Right.
yeah, it's like you're going to a resort. There's thousands of people there doing the same thing you're doing, but sometimes you still get that lucky catch. People catch your eye. Oh, look, this person's streaming this game, and I love this game. Let's go see what they're doing. Because I was playing a game called Risk of Rain, which at one point was stupid popular,
Mhm.
and I got rated by somebody who had a lot of viewers.
Right.
And I mean, that's not going to always happen, but
No, but
that
it's
happens.
it's
But then
always a
I'll play game.
possibility.
Yeah. Then I'll play games like Battlefield 5, which is that or a horror game is my norm. And I'll get my concurrent viewer that I normally get. But then you got to think of it from that point. Are you holding yourself back from playing just the popular games, or vice versa? Are you holding yourself back from just playing small games because you don't want to be like the other streamers?
Right. One of the things that I saw is that, and this is a very good question to discuss, is that if I was a viewer on Twitch and I went to Fortnite and I saw somebody from the FaZe clan, for example, streaming Fortnite, how stupid good they are. They're so popular and they're very, very good at the game. Why would a viewer watch you, an average gamer, versus someone who plays this game competitively? So that's the bad thing about oversaturated games, right? Is that you as a gamer may not be as good as a FaZe clan member or a competitive gamer. So as a Twitch viewer, why would somebody watch that? Why would somebody watch you if they can go and watch somebody from the FaZe clan and get what they want out of that?
Why? I think it'd be one because everyone chases popularity.
Mhm.
That's why people worship artists nowadays, or even not even just nowadays, just they scream and shout at their shows, and it's kind of the same thing here. I mean, if you watch Tim the Tap Man, you can see how many people are there just to get their name up on the screen or
Right.
get their name said. And then, well, why would I come to a smaller streamer who's playing the same game? Why would I watch them? That's where the streamer itself comes in. I mean, the reason Tim the Tap Man is successful, not only because he grinded for it, but he has the skill plus the entertainment
Right.
value to him. It's
Right.
not just he's really good, so let's watch him.
And really, you got to admit that he's not like the best player either. Like, I
Yeah,
can relate
that's
to
the
Tim
thing.
the Tap Man more than any other streamer because I feel like he's like just above average. Like, he's not like super super good. I mean, he pops off every now and again, but he's not like super super good. But he's not like super super bad. He's like right in the middle. And like you said, he's very highly entertaining. He's very easy. Seems like he's easy to talk to. So I think you can relate to him. As a person, you
Yes.
can relate to him, and that's what Chad is saying too. You have to be your relatability. That's why people would want to watch smaller streamers, having that relatability, and the smaller streamers are able to do something the large streamers can't, and that is talk to chat.
Yes.
And that helps.
I think that's where you have to look at yourself as a streamer to kind of go full circle in terms of what you play. You need to find, it's kind of just like in life. In life, we find ourselves. It takes time, but we finally eventually figure out, all right, who we are,
Right.
what we value, what that. You kind of have to do the same thing as a streamer. You need to find out, when are you at your best? Are you best as a solo player? Are you super entertaining when you're a solo player, or are you best when you're playing with friends? Okay, maybe you're good with friends, but what friends?
Right.
Because there have been many a time where I play games with people and I have an absolute blast. We're laughing, we're doing stuff, and then I play games where it's just kind of going through the motions, and that's the one you want to stay of. And I'm not going to say, don't play with those friends,
Right.
but if you're looking at streaming as something that you want to build and grow in, you need to take your what makes you the best you and do that.
Right. So, do you think playing with viewers is a good idea? You talk about playing with friends and on chat on streams. Is it playing with viewers? Is that something that works? Does it not work? Because I think that okay, for let's say for Fortnite, for example, it brings in a lot of the younger audience. Just we have to admit that it brings in a lot of kids. They want to play with a streamer, right? They want to be on stream because they're in the stream. They want to have fun. They can't do that with the large streamers. They're not going to be able to play with them. So with the smaller streamers, we kind of have that ability to kind of hit that a little bit. But is that always a good idea? I see it's like a 50-50. If you can control it, I think it's okay. But you have to really watch what they're going to do or say on stream because that comes back on you.
Yeah. Um Playing with random viewers? No. I will stand strong against no, because I've had many a stream where I'll play like an old game called Scribble.io, which is literally just Pictionary.
Oh, okay.
Um, I've had hackers get into it because we've invited them from our lobbies, and granted, it's been funny sometimes. But also, you got the guys who will come in there and throw the N bomb around or say slurs, and then it just now that's on your stream as a you have to eventually delete your VOD because now that's just out there.
Right.
So random viewers, no. If you got a viewer that wants to play, I'd say as a streamer, without telling your audience that it's a viewer that you've already talked to, I'd say go talk to them.
Right.
Get them in a VC, talk to them, get to know who they are, see if they mesh well, and
Yep.
then proceed through playing games with them.
You
'Cause
almost build that bond a little bit before you play with them. That way you know who they are and how they play. Because like you said, you don't mesh with everybody. You know,
Well, yeah, one of my good friends now, his name's Vaheen. I played Bloodborne and he was just in my chat at one point and he was talking about and stuff. And now he's one of my greatest friends because I took the time to one talk to him and say, "Hey man, we could play Bloodborne together. I just, I want to get to know you first." And then boom. One, I've been a great friend, and two, he's a fun dude to play games with. So I
right.
think you should just take it slow. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing with viewers. Just you gotta be smart about it.
You do. You really do. And remember, it's your stream. You're in charge of it. Don't let chat dictate that for you. If you have somebody comes in and demands to play with you, then that's going to be a toxic player, in my opinion. Because if they demand right away, I want to play with you, and if you say no, they dip and leave, then what are they really there for? They're really there to get on the stream, to do whatever, to get popularity somehow. I don't know how you can get popularity on a streamer who only averages 3 viewers, but it happens, and people are just like to be that. They just want to get on stream. Hey, I was with a streamer, and this is what happened, and this is what I did, and I got blah 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 blah. But you really have to remember that it is your stream. You're in charge of it. And like you said, if you have someone who consistently comes in and wants to play and you get to know them and you build a rapport with them, I don't see a problem with that either. Um, Lavita? Hey, yo.
That is Nicole. She's one of the co-owners of MM.
Oh, okay. Nice. Very good. Very good. Well, welcome. So what is your least favorite game to play and why?
Ooh, it's funny that she just showed up. Because my answer is gonna be Apex.
Apex. Exactly what she
No,
said.
now listen. I in no way, shape, or form think Apex is a bad game.
Mm.
I do have fun with it, but I hate playing it because I get in that loop of losing and losing and losing and losing, and then I win one, and I'm like, oh great, it's like a drug.
It is. It really
You
is.
lose, you win. You're like yes, 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 and then you play 70 more matches, going 3-60,
Right.
and you're like, oh. But that would probably be the game I just don't play. That and Among Us. And
Okay.
why Among Us? Because it's Among Us. That's my opinion. I
Right.
don't like games where it makes me hate my friends.
True. Yes. Among Us is very, very toxic. I mean, you can have a bunch of friends going into that game and have zero coming out of it just because it's what it is.
Virtual Monopoly. It's virtual Monopoly. That's pretty what it is.
It really is. I mean, I love Monopoly. I enjoy the game. I really do. It's fun. Nobody in my family wants to play it with me though. Nobody. Because
Yeah.
either I'm very ruthless when it comes to Monopoly. Like I will, as soon as I can, those hotels are going up. They're as soon as I can. They're going up. I'm winning. I don't care if it's my child. I'm winning. I'm going to win. I'm very competitive. So I hate, I'm very good at I don't like to play Among Us either. It was fun. Like I played it for a little while when it first came out. I'm like, oh, this is fun. This is a fun game. This would be a good game to play with chat. Well, you know, it just got boring very, very quickly. And I don't play Apex either, so I can agree with you on that. I don't like the game. I tried. I really did. I don't even like Warzone that much. I tried. I tried Warzone. I uninstalled it, reinstalled it, uninstalled it, reinstalled it again, and I have not played it in quite a while. I don't know why I'm stuck on Fortnite. I don't know why I can't get past that game, but I'm stuck on it. I mean, I'm not like super good at it, but I'm like average. I'm like Tim the Tap Man Fortnite style, if you want to say that. I'm like average.
That means you're pretty correct at Fortnite because he makes some pretty good plays.
He does. I do pop off every now and again. It might be once every 3 months, but I do have those plays where it comes out. So,
I will say, just a little flex here because I'm a little hipster flex. I played Fortnite before it became what Fortnite is today.
Oh, okay.
I played what I guess they call is Save the World now in the game.
Yes, Save the World is still there.
Defense. Yeah, that's what I played when Fortnite first came out.
I know a lot of people that did that. Yeah, I hear the same. I didn't start until season 9. That's when I started playing Fortnite. So I'm not really that I haven't played all that long. Speaking of Fortnite, there's aliens in there now. I don't know if you know that, but just a little tip there. There's aliens. They will abduct you and put you on a different part of the map. What do you think about that? Yeah.
It sounds like they're pulling a Warzone by putting zombies all over the map.
Right. It does sound like they try to like compete with each other. One does one thing and then Warzone will do this and then Fortnite does this. It's like they get together. I think they get together and they come up with a plan. That's my opinion. I think they come up with a plan and they're like, okay, you do this month, and then in a couple months you do this, but we're gonna pretend like we don't know anything about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
They have to. So any questions from chat? If anybody has any questions from chat, feel free to ask away. I know Drew and I will answer them for you. What do you want to talk about? I mean, this has all been about me, but let's hear from you a little bit.
Well, there was one thing I wanted to say right before the game question is one last thing, at least on streaming, is when it comes to criticism and what you hear coming at you. And it's one thing it's kind of just like with YouTube, you kind of will usually want to stay away from the comments. But with streaming, you ask your friends, or even the chat will tell you, or people will DM you, and sometimes it can be negative. Or you hear, "Oh, man, you shouldn't play that. It's kind of boring." Blah blah blah. And I think, at least for me, it won't work with everybody. You need to find your own way to deal with it. But for me, you kind of have to have like that F it attitude,
right,
towards some people's comments. You got to realize that yes, no matter what you do in life, you're going to get criticisms for that. But at a point, you need to just kind of say, okay, well, who cares if you think that's a boring game? I don't, or the people that are watching me don't. And I think that's an important thing to do is to, take it with a grain of salt. Don't just listen to someone say, like, oh, you're a sucky streamer because you're playing this 24/7. Who cares what they think?
Right.
Not everybody, obviously, but don't become absorbed by the hatred.
You can get sucked into that very easily, Drew, because
Yes.
you're putting yourself out there in social media, among people that don't know who you are, they don't know your personality, they don't know anything about you. But you're as a streamer, you're putting yourself out there and you become very, very vulnerable, not only as a streamer, but as a person. And I think that's why some people give up. I think that's why some people quit because they can't take it or that, they can't deal with it or they can't process that. And I think, on the side of becoming, not only depressed and anxiety, but even further than that into suicide, a little bit, is that I think that's where a lot of that comes from because people are very mean and hateful in the social media world. But as a streamer, you have to know that you are putting yourself out there. Question from chat is that is it, if you become a streamer, is it normal to give up? Yes, it is normal to give up, but it doesn't mean that you have to give up for good. Like you said earlier, Drew, you have to find yourself. You have to find what you're about. You have to believe. You have to know what you stand for as a streamer. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? And I think that really will help you go forward.
I'll say, if it makes anyone feel better, I think I've quit streaming 3, 4, 5 times in my
Yeah,
streaming life, just because of it could be either too much pressure or it could be outside influences, such of what's going on in my personal life.
right.
Um, yeah, it's normal. Not even as a streamer, it's normal to have things in life where you just want to say, screw it, I don't want to do this
Right.
because it's hard or because you're getting something thrown at you. But like I said, if you quit, use that time to better yourself. If you're gonna quit, then quit and figure yourself out.
Right.
Get your things that are going on that influence you to quit, whether it be a job, relationship, family. Do what you got to do on the outside. But if you're going to come back, make sure you're okay. Make
Yeah.
sure that, you know what, all right, I want to do this now, and I know I can do it. So push forward.
The
And I was
thing
going to
is,
say, sorry, I
no,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say to that last thing you were saying about in terms of people, harassing you and stuff like that. Please remember that there is always an off button on your computer, your Xbox, anything. If you got someone that's just blasting you with hate, or there's a block button, don't ever feel bad to just straight cut the dead fruit off the tree,
Right.
because it is not worth streaming. Any of it is not worth you putting yourself at risk mental health wise. Just be healthy, have fun with it,
Right.
enjoy it.
Right. Because it definitely can pay off in the end. And I think as a streamer now is harder to grow now more than ever. I think there's over 9 million Twitch streamers that are streaming. So out of those 9 million people streaming, what does it make? How are you different from anybody else? Just sitting in front of a computer playing a game isn't going to get yourself growth anymore. You have to be, like you said with Tim the Tatman, you have to be entertaining. You have to be able to have that entertainment value where people are going to want to come in and tune in every single day. But again, again, back to what Drew said, is that you have to find yourself. You don't want to embarrass yourself, but you don't want to just sit there and look like a bum either. You know what I mean? You have to kind of figure out, okay, I'm gonna dance for stream, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that. Make it fun, make it entertaining, make it for people to to come back and watch. And also, that's a perfect way to get advertising for free, right? Word of mouth is the best way for advertising. Imagine you as a streamer, someone comes in and watches you stream, and you do something funny or crazy, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends. By the time it's over, they might have talked to 50 people. Doesn't mean they're going to come in to see you every day, but they know who you are. They know you as a streamer, and they know where to find you. So do you need good equipment to stream? That's a question from chat. I don't believe you don't need good equipment to stream. When I started streaming, I streamed from my Xbox without a camera, with just a headset mic. So you don't have to have anything fancy to stream. You can just stream right from your Xbox if you want to, or PlayStation. That's what it's there for. If you want alerts and you want to, look more professional, then yes, you have to would eventually get a computer and PC. But that doesn't mean you can't grow first, and you can just play the game and stream and have fun with it and see where it goes. Again, on Twitch, like I said, it's harder to do that now, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. Especially if you're like a really, really good player, I think a super good player has a higher chance of growth than someone who's just average, just because of gameplay. Because that's what draws people in, especially on a popular style game. Back to the streamer mental health real quick. When Mixer died, because I was hardcore Mixer, I had over 1,600 followers on Mixer, averaged almost 30 people in my stream every single day. When it died, I that was the first time, the day that I heard it die, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I can't start over. I can't restart. But I did. Took a step back and thought about it, and I figured out why I needed, or why I wanted to do this. And here I am on Twitch almost a year later. So like you said, if you want to quit, but you have to evaluate yourself. So, input on the equipment question, though, Drew. What do you think about the equipment question?
I think it depends on, again, what are you streaming for? Are you doing it to grow, or are you doing it as a hobby? I think, yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean, go with what you got in the beginning. Don't blow your wallet just because you want to be the guy with the stream deck and the nice mic and the super good camera and the beefy computer. You don't need it per se, but at the same time, the better quality, the more things you have control of. Like with Xbox and PS4, there's not a lot of control you have on your stream. Now, if you
Right.
go through like a like an Elgato or something, then you can hook it up and do a computer. Then you're way ahead of other people who are just doing it.
Right.
I think you should take it a day at a time when it comes with equipment for streaming. Do you need really good equipment? No. Should you get good equipment? I think, yeah, you should. You should
Right.
have something that helps you increase your arsenal of things you can do.
Right.
But no, to answer that question just blunt, no, you don't need good equipment to stream. You can stream with just an Xbox, like you said,
Right.
and a mic.
Right. Yeah, and especially like you said too, if you're doing it just for a hobby, there's nothing wrong with just doing it from your console. But if you're serious about it, and if you have the means, and if you have the money to do it, and it's not gonna, set you back, then get a at least a decent computer. It doesn't have to be high end, but a decent computer. That way, you start building, like you said, the control, and it can look more professional. Whatever you can do to make yourself stand out will definitely go a long way to help yourself grow. And on top of that, I want to add is that it's kind of less about how you stream, it's more about how you network with other people. How do you get your name out there? Are you on other social media? Are you on TikTok? Are you on YouTube? Are you on Twitter? Are you promoting, and are you doing clips? Because that's one thing that I didn't do for a while, is I didn't upload clips to YouTube, or I didn't make TikToks. But I started doing that, and I started seeing a little growth out of that, just a little bit. But it really helps because people can see you 24/7 when you're on those other platforms versus Twitch when you're live for those 2, 3, 5, 6 hours, or however long. Your viewers and community can see you 24/7 on all the other social media outlets. So I see you're itching there. I want your input on that.
it's about networking, and there's a trap that comes with networking that I fell into. I don't know about you, but at one point I was thinking of a way to grow my personal channel while I was doing MM, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to start networking, and I did okay for a while, and I was, I was playing some games with other people and talking to other people, but then I fell into the trap of only playing with those people. And at least when you're coming from a community, so like I'm ahead of MM, so then I have that community there and members and stuff like that. I went from a point of thinking of networking to then kind of abandoning what I had before, because I was like, oh, I just got to keep networking. I just got to
Mm.
keep playing with these people to get the views. And if I'm on stream with them and they get 50 viewers, that means they'll see me and then I'll make my channel. And then all of a sudden I'm just in this loop of, I don't want to say the word simping, but pretty much
Right.
to get that networking out there. And that's kind of an issue. Like when you network, there's no issue with playing with other people. And some people will kind of get mad if you play with other people. And that's normal because some people get sensitive about it.
Right.
You can't do anything about that. But when you network, make sure to, remember where you came from. Remember your family, whether that be your community, if you have a community like MM, or a community like you have your own community for Psycho Kitty, and then we have members and all the other stuff.
Right.
Just it was a scary thing for a while because I felt the disconnect from everyone. So just don't get caught up in networking your ass off.
Right.
Because in the end, you don't want to leave your friends behind because they're the ones that got you to where you're at.
Yep, exactly. One of the things, the traps that I fell into, or the loops that I fell into with communities, is there was a community for Mixer, and I'm not going to name names or anything, but I feel that they're about the person at the top only. That makes sense. Like there's communities out there that are only concerned about the person who's running it at the top. And I'm not saying anything about that, but I'm just saying there is those communities out there, and you have to be wary of that because I feel those are very toxic because you're not getting yourself anywhere. You're not getting yourself anything but a guide for the person. It's almost like a pyramid scheme in a way.
Yeah.
And and as a new streamer or newer streamer, it's hard to realize what you've gotten yourself into until it's too late. And I realized that when I would stop coming into people's streams because either I was too busy or trying to grow my own brand, and they wouldn't come into my streams, even though I was part of this community. If I didn't go into their streams, they didn't come into mine. And they told me that if you don't come into these streams in this community, we will never come into your chat. We will never support you. We will never come into here. And if you don't go in the person who owns this, we're not going to support you either. So you just have to really watch yourself, because for me personally, I'm a streamer first, a viewer second. And I feel there's more ways to network than it is to go into other streams and support them all the time. You can network by meeting somebody in Discord. There are other communities that you're a part of, sharing their social media content, TikToks, whatever it is. There's other ways to network other than being in someone's stream all the time.
I will say you nailed on the head exactly the reason we made MM is because me and Steve, the other co-owner, when we started off, we were a part of a lot of communities and got in higher ranks in those communities. But there was always that overlooming cloud of, you're not one of our big number guys, so you'll never be one of our big number guys, and we won't care about you. And it happened time and time and time and time again. And I still see it today in communities that interact with us. All these communities where they're getting bunches of members and they're like, oh, we're grinding to be a part of this team. It's one thing to get the title, but if you're going to get caught in that loop and just be another cog in their machine, is it really that worth it? for that title? Is it worth it as a streamer to sacrifice your time and effort to now push towards that community, only for that community to then say, sorry, you weren't in XX's stream the other day, so we're not going to come to you.
Right. And
So yeah,
the
personally, that hit the rock for us.
yeah, because the person at the top of these communities have a huge opportunity not only to help them grow, but to help the community members grow. Because you can, not only build a community, but you can build a family of streamers and gamers who get together and have fun, support each other on and off stream, no matter what. But there's a lot of these guys out there that almost like they're narcissists because they only care about themselves and they only worry about themselves. And I that's what I want to be a part. I want this podcast to be open. I want us to talk about all of these issues because a lot of people don't talk about this kind of thing. A lot of people don't want to bring it up. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. I don't care. I'll talk about it because I think this is a real issue with the gaming community that needs to be addressed. And if we don't talk about it, it's never going to change.
I think there's definitely way too many toxic communities out there. And honestly, they get what's coming to them eventually.
Yep.
They eventually crash and burn. I've seen many crash and burn. But at the same time, I think there's a fine line between a lot of the communities that I see. There are some good ones out there. There are some that still make you grind, and yes, they reward their top members, but they don't also just they don't push the smaller ones to the side per
Right.
se. But
Right.
it's really hard for those out there to find a good home. And I mean I talk to some people who are interested in joining a MIM, and I explain our thing, and even then you can see the kind of aftershock effect from previous communities, and they're
Mhm.
like, well, I just don't know, I came from XX, and when I was there it was like this, and how do I know you guys aren't going to be the same? And it starts this disease that goes through all these different streamers, artists, anything.
Right.
It just starts causing this horrible backlash, and it wouldn't have to be that way if there weren't these people up there who are lining their pockets with the money they get from. So
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a huge difference between gaming communities and esports because if you cross into that esports line, there is a big disconnect between, well, not disconnect, but there's a huge difference between a community and an esports community. So, do you think esports is better than a normal regular gaming community or worse, or do you think that they're very similar to each other? I think they're different, like because esports, that you're grinding in a specific game and you're gonna just that's all you're gonna be doing. With a community, you want a more of a family feel environment. But again, you have to watch kind of what you want as a streamer. Do you want a community that is an esports, or do you want just a normal community? So, do you think esports? Do you think those communities are as toxic or more toxic than regular communities?
I don't think that there's one that's worse than the other. I mean, when it really comes down to it, it's who's running it.
Right.
That's where you're going to find out if it's a toxic community or not. I mean, I know there's esports teams out there that do well, and they have a lot of people that are in them, and it's a grind fest.
Yep.
But that's what they're there for, and they kind of, they put that in black and white. This is what we do, and this is what you're going to have to fight for. And at that point, if people come out of there saying it was toxic, it may not be because the community was toxic. It might just be because there were people better than you.
True.
And that's what competition's all about. Now, when it comes to community servers, that's a little bit different. Um, there's a fine line between community servers that have like stream teams and streamers that represent them, and the content is all pushed to who the community is.
Right.
And then there's communities who have streamers and stuff and stream teams on those communities where now there is a mesh between the two brands to where those streamers are still getting their brand pushed out along with theirs, the host company community. And I think those are the communities where you're starting to find a little bit more of a family feel. Because one thing that we always say when anyone wants to join us is we never want to take away from who you are as a person and as a brand, because that's not what it's about. What it's about is a community server should be about growing that community and helping the people who are with you in that community them blow up. Like, I would be so pumped if any of the streamers in MM were to all of a sudden hit like 1K viewers and all this stuff, and they're just skyrocketing. That'd be awesome. And I think that's the difference between some community servers and some servers that are just like, oh well, yeah, you're part of the community. Oh yeah, you have that tag next to your name. But Mr. Horse over here gets 100 viewers per stream, so like he's more important.
Right.
And he's making us look good. That's where you get that toxicness.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Oh, I agree. And so I've seen so many esports teams pop up like all of a sudden within like the last month or two. And I'm getting DM after DM after DM on Twitter. Hey, you want to join this esports team? You want to be a part of this esports team? And I go and look, and they're all established 2021. And what I found out is most of these are being run by people who are like kids, like literal kids. So I'm not saying they're bad, but I don't understand why all of a sudden we're seeing all these esports communities pop up. I think they're just trying to compete with FaZe and be like the FaZe clan, but they can't because they're just kids.
Think about it like this though. Do you remember back in the days before all this stuff happened and we had clans on like Xbox and stuff?
Yes.
It's the same thing repeating itself.
True.
Just now they have a bigger outlet. They have an outlet to be a way bigger outlet to be creative and bring in people. And I won't lie, I mean, I'm sure those kids, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this team. It's gonna be big. And props to them. If they do it, hell yeah.
Oh
But
yeah.
at the same time, a lot of them get way ahead of themselves and start just sending out DMs or whatever it be to anyone and everyone trying to get them on the team. And then they don't realize what to do after those people join, and then it just crumbles.
It does, yeah. And it's like a group of their kids, their friends get together, make this clan and make this group, and they invite all these people in from the outside, but all they do is still talk to those 3 or 4 or 5 people, and everyone else is left in the dark. So, and like you said, they die within maybe a month or two. But I really hope that they are successful, because I think there's room for growth in the esports community, because there's only a few that are huge, and esports is only beginning to be something that is a mainstream sports. I think in the future you're going to see esports on like ESPN and stuff like that more often than what you do, because it's becoming more of a normal sports. I wouldn't put it past in our lifetime, Drew, that you would go to a stadium like you would for the Super Bowl, but it's for esports. I think it's coming in our lifetime. Because I think that's where we're headed, and that's where we're going in the esports community.
Well, I was going to say, in terms of that, when like League of Legends.
Oh yeah, that
Dota,
is
they've already
huge.
had huge arenas.
Yes.
And I think Dota was on ESPN, and then there's Madden.
Yeah.
There's people playing Madden for money on TV.
Yes.
And they make a whole reality TV show off a video game, and it's only going to keep getting bigger.
It is. I think with COVID, with everything in the last year and a half, has really elevated the esports and the gaming community to whole new levels. Because I think before before COVID happened, it was growing, but not at a fast rate until everyone was pushed into their homes and to where you couldn't
Mhm.
go out across the world. It wasn't just here in the US, but it was across the entire globe where people were now indoors. What do they have to do? We are social creatures. Humans are social creatures. And what do? You resort to video games. Like LAN parties. I remember having LAN parties, when we were younger and things like that. That's kind of what this is. It's a
Yeah.
huge, giant LAN party, which is really cool. And I'm really interested and really excited to see where this goes in the future. Someone in chat said, I think esports will have its own channels. And I agree with that. I think esports, whether it's on Twitch or TV or anything like that, will have its own channels and people will tune in just like they would watching a baseball game.
Well, I was gonna say they kind of already do. Like
Mhm.
whenever Worlds for League is on, I mean, you've got 50,000 plus people watching just on Twitch. That's not even counting their website,
Right.
and that's not counting about like what other because obviously League is a world championship, so there's people from Korea, Japan, all over the earth.
Right.
So where are they watching from? Maybe they're watching it on something that they got over there, and it's literally becoming as big as the Super Bowl, as big as the World Series.
It really is. Do you think that you'll see
Esports is
it?
turning into a sport.
Do you think that you'll see it in the future added to like the Olympics? Because there's some strange sports in the Olympics now.
What,
But
like curling?
yeah, like curling. Exactly. And what is that, right? What the heck is that? But I think that's something that you'll see, maybe, maybe not in our lifetime, but maybe down the road eventually. You're gonna I mean, there's no end to esports. I guess that's my point. Really no end to it unless the internet dies, which I highly doubt that, but
Yeah,
you never know.
Olympics. I
Olympics.
don't know if it would come to the Olympics unless they did something like with VR
True.
in the
Yes,
Olympics.
we haven't even talked about VR yet. Like
I
VR.
don't think that like the sit down watch someone play Guitar Hero would come to the Olympics, even though what they do on Guitar Hero is absolutely ridiculous.
It really is.
But if it were like a VR competition where it's still physical but also now digital,
Right.
I could see that becoming something.
Or the sports in general becomes more VR than playing in
Oh yeah,
person,
now you're opening up a whole
you
can of
know?
worms. Like, what if they start playing football games
Because they kind
in
of did that
VR?
during COVID. I mean, they kind of did that. Like they did that with NASCAR. I watched a NASCAR race where people were racing from their house, actual NASCAR race or drivers. They were doing virtual races because they couldn't race in person.
Yeah.
So they've already pretty much have done that now in the last year and a half. It's really crazy to think about that, though.
Yeah, I think virtual reality in itself is going to. I don't know if we're ever going to get to a place where it's like Ready Player One style,
Mhm.
at least in our lifetime. But it's just, I mean, we're getting new technology every day. We're making strides in science. Something. It's just going to get cooler.
It really is. And I'm excited for that. I can't wait. I've never done VR before. I've never been involved. I've never done it. Never. I'd love to though. I mean, I think it was really, really cool and really not horror though. I'm not a horror person. Um, so
I'll be real with you. I still have not played horror in VR.
no, I'm
I'm not.
surprised.
I mean, I don't count. I played Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, which was a great game, which I guess is horror, but like like the Grudge ones and like I played Phasmophobia in VR. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I've never played that game either.
I mostly play like Pavlov, like the shooters,
Oh, okay.
with some buddies and go back to World War II and act like we're throwing our Mosins across the. Get out of here.
Right, right. Oh man. Wow, yeah, I just it's amazing to think about what, 10 years from now, 20 years from now will be in the gaming and the esports world and um I don't know, it's just amazing what they're
I mean,
doing.
to think that like my setup is a 2080 Ti and an i9, and I got it, I think, 2, 3 years ago. To think that in 10 years, this will be everything I have at my desk right now will be obsolete
Right. Yeah.
is crazy to think of.
Unreal. It's unreal how fast we're moving forward. And tie this all in with streaming is that you have to um move with that too. You have to know what is in, what is out. As simple as your overlays, because a few years ago the whole total overlays on your stream was the thing, like the banner at the bottom, the toolbar at the bottom. You basically, as much as you can get on your stream is the best. Now it's all about being minimalistic,
Mhm.
all about just having a little, not even, maybe not even have a camera overlay. A lot of people don't have camera overlays. I don't always do that, but it's just, as a streamer, you don't want to be sitting there having a stream that looks like it was from 5 years ago, because nobody's going to want to watch that. You're not going to be relevant.
It's funny you say that because Shroud is currently streaming at the moment, and I
Oh,
remember when Shroud used to stream a lot.
yep.
Well, not used to stream a lot. Back when he did stream like CS:GO and stuff, and he had the huge overlay. He had the camera overlay with the box underneath it. He had something at the top, something at the bottom. And if I were to look at him right now, guess what he's got? A
Nothing.
camera
A
with
camera.
a tiny little border around it.
Yeah. It is.
It's weird that you say that now, because not only in streaming, but just all these corporations are going, it's like the age of minimalism.
It is.
Like Discord, Battle.net, Streamlabs,
Yeah.
Google, Firefox, they're all becoming like this one image with one color.
Right.
And that's it.
Less is more at this point, it seems like.
It's crazy.
It really is. And I think with streaming I like that, because as a streamer, your content, your game is the most important versus who, watching. You don't really necessarily need to see how many subs you have or how many bits that have been donated to you and from your entire time you've been on Twitch. The most important thing to think of and to know is the content. People come for the content. They come for the content but stay for the streamer, if that makes sense. And I think that's why we see a lot of the minimalistic stuff happening, not only like you said in the streaming world, but in the large corporations. Everything is all minimal. So talk about logos for a minute. It's June 2nd, and it's Pride Month. I didn't know that because I'm not big in that community, which I support it. But did you notice how many companies have changed their logos all rainbows?
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
every single one. Now, do you think that they believe in that, or are they just trying to be popular? Exactly.
Money.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that there are some companies out there that do it because they truly support it
Mm,
and stuff like that. But at the same time, those businesses think from a business perspective.
right.
What is going to bring the most attention? What's going to bring the most money? And that's why they do it.
Yep. And they
And again, not all, but
and they feel like they're in with the in crowd. They're in with the popular kids again. That's how
well,
I see it sometimes
yeah,
too.
you got to think like if Pride Month is going to get more and more of a bigger thing over the course of life. And think about it. If you're a company that doesn't do it
Right.
or you don't mention it, now how does that make you look? And in the atmosphere of cancel culture that we have today,
Oh, yes.
you can't have an opinion outside of what the internet thinks. Not saying you can't think it, but you can't vocalize it. But at the same time, like if you're not on the bandwagon for what is going on right now, you're an outcast
Right.
in a lot of things.
That's why I thought really long and hard about starting this podcast, because I knew going into this that with the opinions that I have and what I'm talking about isn't the in and not what not a lot of people talk about. And yes, cancel culture is huge. And I'm not saying I'm going to get canceled over this podcast. I'm not saying that at all. But it's there. It's relevant even as a streamer because you see it all the time. Streamers getting canceled or talking about canceling them. I mean, how they wanted to cancel Eminem. I mean, like seriously, like really what are we not going to cancel? I don't want to get
Yeah.
into all of that, but it's just I don't understand because like you said, if you think differently than someone else, then automatically you should get canceled. What happened to the time where we can have a conversation and think differently, but come away from the conversation learning something from each other because we have a difference in opinion?
Individuality became a sin,
Mm,
basically.
yeah.
Um, yeah, with how everything's changed. Like 2, 3 years ago, I would never thought of having to learn how to connect with trans people or
Hmm.
bi people. I knew that those people existed, and my beliefs put aside, I still support and believe that everyone should have their choice and love who they want and should have an amazing life just like I do.
Yep.
Well, amazing's a little hard, but but I think everybody should be happy, and that should not be taken away from anyone. But now, 2, 3 years later, now it is a prevalent thing, and like with we have now, I think 3 or 4 either bi, trans, or it's they them, and that is a complete gut punch of a culture shock to me because I'm not used to it.
Right.
And I it's it's crazy how the times have changed, but at the same time, now I'm sitting here not only because I don't want to get canceled, but at the same time, I want to be able to reach out and meet these people and talk to them. And I think that's what a lot of people should start doing is, yeah, you can have your own beliefs. You should never let anybody take away your beliefs or infringe on them. But at the same time, it's kind of like the old get with the times look. Like, listen, those people aren't going anywhere.
Right.
They're still going to be here. So why not, instead of approaching it in a negative way, let's approach it in a positive way.
Mhm.
Connect with them, talk with them, learn their side of the story,
True.
and
And
go
as a
from there.
streamer, do you stay away from those topics or do you dabble into those topics? Because in my stream, for example, my community or that I've built, we don't talk about certain things just because I don't want to end up just turning the stream into that.
Yeah.
I don't get into politics. I don't get into normally I don't get into the daily news style of war. I don't get into what's going on in the world because I feel that as a streamer, it's our job to let people get away from that for a little while. We all know the world's shitty. We
Yes.
all understand that and agree with that. But our job as a streamer is that they come into our chat for a while and forget about their shitty life. That's I
Mhm.
mean, I hate to be blunt, but it's just what it is. You have to have that openness with that, but also you have to be relevant with what's going on and understand what's going on. And like you said, having those conversations with people that are different than you, you can learn a lot from them.
Mhm. Well, like, I mean, from what I just said and what I just explained, that's about the pinnacle of where I go, at
Mm,
least in talking about stuff like that. Um, I know that my political beliefs differ from a lot of people.
mm.
I know that actually just a lot of my beliefs, everyone's different. So yeah, I
Right,
differ from a lot of people. So there are things I won't talk about, but at the same time, I don't think you should avoid it
right.
because that person in your chat asking how you feel about something could be someone who is looking for someone to talk to or
Mm,
looking for a friend. And I don't think you should shy away from those conversations. I think you need to approach them very carefully and
right.
know what not to say. And also, like, there's one person that was in our Discord, and I talked to him, and I kept calling her a he because I wasn't used to it, and it confused the hell out of me. So make sure whenever you make those little mistakes, apologize for it. And if they're a rational person, they'll understand. They need to also understand that, look, this person may not have been as subjected to this type of culture yet.
Right.
But I don't think you should shy away from some of the harder topics just because you may not know about it. I think you should have a healthy conversation with it. And outside of streaming, when politics or anything else, bro, it's kind of something you should do in all of life.
Right.
When you're approached, like, I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm a Republican. If a liberal or a Democrat come talk to me, it should be a healthy conversation. And it should be fluid.
Right.
And understand their point of view, understand my point of view, agree to disagree, and then you're good with it.
Right. No, I completely agree with that statement. I mean, completely. As a streamer, it's hard because you have all these different people coming into your stream, and you're subjected to a culture that you may not be used to. Like for me, I grew up in a very small town, so there's different cultures out there that I was never subjected to. Never, now as a streamer, I'm thrown into that to every community, so it's different. It's hard, but I'm learning, and I think it's good for a streamer to be versed in that, just in case they come into your chat, or just in case that it comes up as a topic or something to talk about, because you want to be prepared for that.
Mhm. Definitely. I just be the best way and lead with positivity.
Yep.
It's corny, but I always quote a song from a guy called NF.
He's one of my favorites.
If you wake up every morning and you look in the mirror and you say you hate yourself, you're eventually going to believe it. So I take that as, if you wake up every day and just always have that negative feeling towards whatever it may be, you're just going to be a sourpuss.
Yep.
You can tolerate things. Like, it may not be what you want, you may not like it, and you may not support it, but deep down, either whatever it be, that person or that thing is their own thing, and they have their own rights too. So just, be positive.
Right. No, I agree 100%. So, well, I'm gonna wrap things up here, Drew. So I want you now. This is your time, to shine here a little bit. When do you stream? Tell everyone when you stream, how they can find you. I know what game that you play, but when do you normally stream?
We on we usually have 3 or 4 streams during the week, depending on who's available. But we play stuff all the way from horror to indie games to roguelikes. That's all on Malevolent Media's channel, so twitch.tv/Malevolent Media. And though I will say, in the meantime, there's currently a hiatus due to something big coming. So there's that. That's all I can say about it.
Oh, well, maybe we'll have you back for whenever that big thing happens.
I would be elated to come back on the show with you.
That'll be awesome. So I had a great time, Drew. Thank you for taking the time out and having a nice conversation with us. Next week, we'll be live with It's Fades. He's a streamer on Twitch, so we'll be back next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, check us out on Spotify. We have a Spotify channel. You can go watch or listen in to all the podcasts on Spotify. Make sure you follow. I will see you guys next Wednesday. Have a great night, everybody. Peace out. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of one another. See you later.
Bye.